true. I gotta set up my shadow. And Zero Cats, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. So just give me one moment and I'll set it up. I actually have to. Well, I'll figure it out right now. Let me just go live on my chat. No, don't ever. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Let me set this up as chat only. Celadon CH, thank you so much for the follow. I think I followed you on Twitter earlier too, so I appreciate the Twitch follow as well. I hope I can fix my charger. Yeah, I had a good day. I mean, I'm technically still at work, but it's gonna be fine because it's just like I wanted to do Resident Evil today, but I'll fix my phone later. I wanted to do Resident Evil today. Today was gonna be spooky. Today's kind of still spooky stream because we're gonna play ranked like maybe at the very end of this session, but we'll see how it goes. No, don't ever. I don't know. It's all good. So people follow and sometimes the site messes up, but it's all good. I stream at very odd times of the day, so it's all good. The art of patiently waiting for Broly to play Lord Bison. That's true. The art of me patiently waiting for Fang to resubscribe to my channel is also so true. Alright, so let's kind of go into the first. Well, I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna go to training mode and we're gonna talk about a lot of things, but we're gonna talk about patience. I've been hit with this question a lot lately. How do you deal with someone that's not doing much, right? Like, when we talk about defense, I'm always telling people, like, if you really want to advance yourself, always be ready to punish, right? Punish jumps, punish dashes, punish things that are negative, execute your crush counter combos, whenever you block a DP, things like that, right? We'll just go to Ryu, okay? Alright, so we'll just do something like this. Yeah, hashtag trading partners, right? And please know that as much as I promote my training and also like I do it as a kind of like advertisement to get more students and to train, because it is my second job. It is something that helps me, supports the things that I need, and plus the stream and all that stuff. Whenever I do this as a stream, anything I say or do on stream is free, right? Like, this is part of the, I'm trying to help the community out without having to charge anybody, without having to say, hey, pay me $10 to talk, right? I'm not doing that. So, what up, Death Mafka? So always take advantage of these streams. I will be posting this on YouTube tonight afterwards. So if you ever need to come back and say, hey, like, Broly just did a video on patience, check it out. please share it. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well, and hopefully you will enjoy this. So getting back to what I was saying about the character and Chun and just defense in general, right? Okay, and we'll talk about this with other characters. We won't just do Chun, but we'll just do Chun for now because obviously I specialize in the character. Patience requires a lot of knowledge, and that's probably one of the things that stops people from getting at a goal. Because in when you're in rookie, bronze, silver, knowledge is great. Always, like, you always want to have knowledge, but you don't need to have that much knowledge. All you need to know is, how do I crush counter combo? How do I punish the littlest things? And you'll be fine, right? How do you anti-air? And you'll be fine. You're done. You don't need to worry about anything else. You'll easily get out of silver. You know, you'll get to gold free. Okay. Now, after that, what happens? What happens when you fight somebody, well, who does this all day? What happens when you fight this all day? Like, what is your, what's the options, right? What are we trying to do here? Okay. Who are very defensive, who are very prone to throw a button out. Okay. One of the main things is being patient doesn't always require you to down back. It doesn't. Being patient is you assessing the match in general. Okay? I keep a lot of things noted when I play somebody. Okay? I notice how many times they jumped. I notice how many times they dashed. I notice their movement. I notice how close they are, how much spacing they give me. There's a lot of things going on. It's not just, hey, what do I do against him? What if he does this? Right? The one thing you always want to shut down is the jumps. You always want to shut down the jumps. Okay? So anytime you get into jumps, it's all about spacing too. Right? If you're this far, it's really hard for Chun to get an anti-air going. I mean, she does have a stand light kick, but still. It's very hard to get an anti-air in this position. But when she's closer, this is her range. When she can poke, this is her range. This is where she wants to be. Because if I feel a jump is coming on, I can anti-air that free. Okay? And so, having that shut down, it already reduces your opponent's options. Now they're going to be like, okay, I can't jump. Some people will learn, some people don't, right? Some people will still jump. And so those are easy free wins. You get nothing, you're good. You can keep going, okay? But what if you're fighting someone who is literally doing this? Okay. So, let's turn on the guard recovery, okay? So every time I do this, he jabs, right? So if I try to do like, and I get hit by that, right? Or I try to do like, something like that, where I'm trying to close in, right? Or I do something very negative, I get hit, okay? It's their turn. Usually when it's negative, it's their turn. There's not much you can do, right? I do something negative, I have to respond and react to that and know, hey, I gotta just block. There's nothing I can do. Right? If you're positive, like for example, this, you can keep going. And you get your positive frames. And that is the first thing about understanding how to break a defense is how to utilize your plus frames. If someone is being this patient, if someone is waiting and allowing you to do the first step, if I'm allowing my opponent to do the first move, okay, or if my opponent is allowing me to do the first move, one of the best options is to try to go for a plus on block move. So middle punch is really good because you can always respond with that, and then you can do and do it into spinning bird or whatever, right? If you're close enough. Actually, you can just go into a combo, okay? Now, it doesn't always respond with they don't always respond with jab. They sometimes respond to. Let's limit this because I don't need that much time. Let's do it again because you want to see it do a reversal. Okay, there you go. So reversal allows it to be the first frame, right? So they do something like that to her. If I try to poke, they can respond with that. Okay, how do I deal with that? How do I deal with players that are responding with a poke, right? Now they're poking me. They're trying to poke me back. They're trying to get me away, right? So if I try to do something like that, they push me away. Okay? One way to do it is to understand spacing. Okay? That middle punch isn't going to hit me if I do this. So every time I do that, I know that they're going to whiff. And because I know they're going to whiff, I can just whiff punish them, right? Or I can whiff punish them with that, right? Or I can do, and hit them with that move, right? Spacing helps out a lot when you know how a person's responding and you don't want to get hit. I'll go ahead and do Ryu's best poke. Well, maybe second best poke. Not best poke, but something that usually Ryu's will respond with. And I'll go ahead and do sweep, right? A lot of times that's their I should have sent their longest range poke. So this is their on block. And it's not gonna reach me. So I could react to that. Ryu's can't poke me out of that. Ryu's can't respond. If I poke them with Chun this far, it allows me to be at a spot where I'm not gonna be able to get hit. What's up, Mr. Sujano? Right? There's other moves you can do. You can do this. They can't respond to it. Now you can do something really negative though, and I'll get hit. Right? If you do a sweep, very negative move, I'm gonna get hit right back. But if you keep it light, right? Forward middle punch, 0 on block. Middle punch, you're plus on block, you can go again. You can do a jab, jabs. You can keep that and still be positive. But the moment you do something like negative, you're gonna get hit, right? If I do something like this and try to swing again, I'm gonna get hit. Because I'm negative now. Right? Now, if I do something like this again, something with spacing, it pushes me away from them. So they block and now I'm away. Now, if I'm too close, whoops. I guess Chun's really broken. But let's just say I do something like, this, I'll get hit, right? Because I know I'm negative. Because I know I shouldn't be swinging anymore. So I know I should be blocking. Right? So, something you need to respond and realize is when someone is waiting for you to be the first to attack, spacing matters a lot. Now, a lot of characters might not have the best spacing like Chun does. So this is kind of like a Chun only thing. Like, not Chun only, but like this is a very favorable lesson for Chun. What makes her really good is that she's able to poke from afar and still not be in danger. Okay. Now, even though sweep has a lot of range, you don't really want to do it. Now, the only thing about this matchup is you can do sweep. You can do it at the tip and it misses. It makes Ryu whiff. For some reason, it makes Ryu whiff. And you can just kind of do this. I like doing this a lot to Ryu's. And I'll just sweep again. Or I could do something like do a poke into, something like that. So something along the lines, yes, it is a lot of footsies, yes. But this is one way of breaking your opponent and knowing, hey, I can respond with, a spaced out move that I could get a whiff punish. So I can whiff punish them for it. A lot of characters can do this. It's just you gotta find your unique way. And one of the best ways is find your plus on block or 0 on block if the spacing is correct. So I can even do something like this. As long as I'm far away. This is why you always want to aim your footsies at the tip of the range so that you're not in danger. Right? So I can do something like this and then go for a whiff punish. Right? That's why it works. Okay. Why there's not a lot of Chun-Li players? There are. We're just kind of. This has been a weird year, and there's a lot of Chun players. There's Lud. There's Alex Myers now. Rob, kind of, I guess. Demon X, but he doesn't really travel much. A lot of us just don't really travel much. I'm probably one that travels most, or one of the most. Ricky does as well. Philippine man kind of sticks to East or West Coast. So there is players. I think I think Lud travels the most. But there are players, but you just don't need to worry so much about or they don't really come out of hiding and going to tournaments and things like that. So it's one of those things where you just have to if you're on the scene, you can, but you can definitely see a lot of us out there. But yeah, results is one thing. Like Alex Myers gets good results, Lug gets good results, things like that. So it's we're out there. It's just tough. I mean, obviously Human Bomb and from Asia is really good as well. Okay. Let me see. So, what's the next thing I'm to talk about? So, what if you're getting pressured? Right. Let's talk about now. What if you're the one that's getting the pressured on here? Let's go ahead and do something like this. Okay. Let me do that again. Alright. So, what we're gonna do is okay. And I didn't even tighten it up. I need to tighten it up. Let's do it again. Whoops. Okay, let's see how that works. It might be different because I'm blocked. I'm getting hit, but I didn't even get the dash. Well, let's see the combos first. Okay, that does combos. So, all right. So, what happens when you're blocking a combo? When you're, when you're the one that's receiving something that's plus on block, okay? When Ryu does that crouching middle punch, if I press a button, I'm gonna get hit, right? If I try anything, I'm gonna get a hit, right? Well, okay. Now, I can even do my light kick. And that's 3 frames. I think I'm just not doing that string very well. I think it's because I'm getting the hit. But I'm gonna try one more time. Alright, let's try it again. Alright. Well, let's just, for example's sake, you're not supposed to be able to swing after that. Standing middle punch is +1 on block. Well, maybe I could do it. You could actually interrupt it. That's actually sad. But whatever. Let's just pretend I can't do it. Alright, I try jab. Alright, I try jab. I get hit. Okay. How are you supposed to deal with that? Well, one thing is you gotta know when things are over. Now I know the spacing's over. Right? When spacing is over, I can swing after that because there's nothing much he can do. He could do fireball after that, but you could just jump over that if you want. I could just jump. So I could go for a jump, or I could, you know, throw a fireball. Actually, let me get close again. I could throw a fireball right after that, or I could go for a 0 on block move. So I know that I'm far away now. Okay. One thing you want to realize, and yes, stand up and stand heavy punch are, yeah, really good, or really good pokes. One of the things that you could do, and this is something that's not really talked about a lot, is utilizing your EX reversal. How do we do that? So if I were to use that in the middle, since I know it's a gap, I know there's a way I could, you know, swing after that. If I know there's a button or a window of opportunity, I know that I can sneak in an EX spinning bird. Okay, this is a really good tactic when your opponent knows I have this block string, but it's not a true block string. It's a block string that, hey, I'm positive. Okay. Knowing that, they're more than likely gonna go for a move right after. They're more than likely gonna have to do something after that. Oh shit, Jesus, are you alright? Oh shit. That is crazy. Yeah, tell me that story after. That sucks. That's crazy. Hopefully you're alright. You know, crazy world out there. Another thing you can do, other than EX reversal, is you can V reversal, right? If you're ever getting pressured, if you're like feeling the pressure, you don't want to get thrown or anything like that to take the mix up, try to do that instantly. Try to do that, you know, oh, you're just awake now? Yeah. You can use that V reversal, and you want to do it early so that you make sure that there's no room for them to do anything crazy. You know, try to jump or maybe read it into a throw, things like that. You know, things like that where you really have to make sure to throw them off their game. Okay. Now, there are things in this game that are true block strings, right? And so I'm gonna do one right here. Okay, let me do that. Let me do it again. Okay. Actually, let me do that one more time. Ah. Alright, let's try it. Now let's try it. See, there's no way I can get through that, right? Nah, I mistimed the jab. I need to do it again. If you do it right, they shouldn't be able to do anything. Alright, let's try that. Alright, so I'm mashing jab, watch. I can't fit anything. There's no buns that can come out. So I can only wait till it ends. But he's still positive, right? And I still can't even spinning bird that. So whenever you deal with a true block string, like, there's not much you can do. You have to hold that. The only thing you really need to worry about is if they go for the throw. Okay? And let's try that. Alright, let's see how that works. Well, let me try it this way. Okay. How do we deal with that? Whoops, I messed that up. Okay. Actually, let me make it easier. That one's a little bit difficult. That one we'll talk about at the end. Let's make it easier. Let's do jab, jab, walk up, throw. Okay? Okay, how do we defend against that? Alright? The one way is to tech. So if I see him walking at me, I'll just tech it. Right? Another thing you can do is actually just poke him out. So if I see Ryu walking, I'll just jab. Good. You can do that. And you can actually try to combo it. So if I know it's coming, I can just combo into it. But this was really hard. You have to really hit confirm into that. Okay? You can be a little late. A lot of people are like, oh, I tech that, or I pressed the button. That's why you just have to be a little earlier at. Now, it is a risk. If I do go for a jab, the thing you have to remember, before I continue, the thing you have to remember is that crouching jab is plus on block. So when you block a reused crouching jab, in your mind you know, hey, I can't mess with this. I can't be pressing a button because I can get frame trapped. So how do I know the difference? How do I deal with that in a way where I can see him walk? The one thing you do have to realize is when they're walking toward you, that's when you can go for it. Okay. So let's go for the hard one. Let's go for the second one. Let's go for the one. Okay. Now, how do we deal with that one? So, one thing you have to realize is that now he doesn't even walk forward. Now you have to guess. So I'm gonna input throw no matter what on that jab. But you could say, well, what if he doesn't go for the jab? You're gonna open yourself up to the throw. Not exactly. You could delay your throw really late so that you could defend against both. Okay. Now I'm gonna throw in. I don't know how this works. I'm gonna try it. I don't know how this works right. But we're gonna try. No, not that one. Whoops. I don't know why I did that. Okay, let's do it now. Let's try to turn on both, right? So now both options could happen. Now I'm gonna try to defend against both. Okay. Did it too early. Did it too early again. Okay, right there. That's where you want to. So you can defend. You just wait. And you just do it at the right time. You can defend against both. You just have to delay your tech very slightly so that you can be able to hit both. And what we're doing is called delayed tech. Okay. Delayed tech is mainly about timing yourself a little later, expecting either the throw or the hit. What up, Obi-Wan? What up? Let me get to it. What's up first? If I delay against the hit, then because you have to remember to take a throw, you have 5 frames. There's a 5-frame window when it comes to teching throws. So you don't have to be early to tech a throw. You just gotta be within those 5 frames. Okay? So as long as you do it at the time, now you'll be able to tech throw. Let me finish my sentence. As long as you do it at a late time, you'll be able to defend against both. Okay, if you do it too early, like I was doing earlier, you can tech the throw, but you'll get hit. See that? You'll get hit if you do it too early. You can still tech it, but you'll get hit by that and then hit. Why am I getting hit? Because the moment I throw, I'm opening up my defense. Now I'm not blocking anymore. Now I'm getting hit. Right? And so doing it too early is never really the thing, because if you do it too early, you're gonna get opened up with frame traps. And a frame trap, for those that don't know, is basically a series or a combination of 2 attacks that are positive, or it starts with a positive frame and has a little bit of window that allows you to press a button but not enough time to interrupt. So basically, if I have a 3 frame and my opponent is +2, I'm 2 frames behind. That means that my 3 frame now becomes a 5 frame. And if he does another 3 frame, guess who wins? He does. It still sounds a little complicated. I promise it is complicated, but you'll understand. I'll try to make it better. But basically, you have no chance of beating his move. Okay? And so now there are different ways to beating this. So like I could still spinning bird that, right? If I don't want to guess, I could just spinning bird that. I could, because I don't want to guess. I don't want to know if it's gonna be a throw or hit. I don't want to have to guess. Whoops. You could be a reversal, but it does become dangerous because they can still throw you out of it. So the reversal is an option, but it's not really a great option. Okay. Spinning birding is good. Going for the late tech is good, but you have to go for it. You have to commit to it. It is something you have to work on and making sure that you're able to go for the delay tech. Now, there's another option that you can do. It is a tougher option, but it's the backdash, but it's really hard because if they go for the frame trap, you're going to get hit. You can also jump away, but you can get hit by the frame trap. So, see that? I got hit by the frame trap. So there's not a real solid way other than EX spinning bird. You can just spinning bird and add both options. Problem is, you can't do it a lot. If you go for the EX spinning bird a lot, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna give them that tail to block, and they're gonna crush counter you. So there is a big threat, and you have to have meter for this. So there's a lot of like thinking when you're dealing with this kind of approach, and also remember. So let's talk about another thing. I'm gonna wait till I get hit. Let's see. Alright, do your frame trap. Come on, Ryu. Do your frame trap. Okay. When they do the frame trap, they are pushing you away. Once that middle punch is out, I already know the threat of throw is over. Now I just have to block. Okay? So what Ryu's will do is now they'll do this. They'll do something like that. Okay? Let me do it again. Okay? So if I'm here, I can now, well, I mean, you're not really supposed to attack there, but now you can let it all go. So now I know it's over. Alright, now I know that after that, I can swing now. They could go for fireball, but that's like, you know, that's if they're really close. If they're not that close, you'll be fine. And even then, you can just jump it and go for an attack. Okay. But once he does that middle punch, I don't need to worry about throw. I'll just block it out, and then I can swing. Now I have enough space. Now I have enough breathing room to actually press a button and be fine. Do I smash this right now? Yeah. So I'll be playing Smash. And so one thing you really want to make sure is also to make sure you block low. I have seen this a lot. I've seen this so many times, and it drives me nuts. And they even do it in like diamond play, and I don't know why, but people love to stand block everything and leave their feet. So they're like, it's like their plan is to like run away or to backdash. And so once I see them blocking low, I already know I'm just gonna go for the combo, right? Already know I'm gonna go for the combo. Now this is not a true block, not a true hit, but I could get hit by that. See that? So it's still a frame trap if you try to press a button. You don't want to press a button on either that. Even on middle punch, it's still plus on block. You don't want to press a button. You could still do spinning bird, but it's not really worked in this sense. But you can do, and it's not really punishable. Crouching middle kick is not punishable, so don't try to punish it. try to remember, hey, let me just back out and get space. A lot of times for us chum players, we love to do something like this, walk back fireball, and then gain the upper hand. Right? Regain what we're trying to do so that we can set the pace again. Okay? But this is all about being patient and knowing the knowledge of what's a frame trap. Alright, you want to make sure that you keep yourself confident and patient enough to understand these things, understand what's going on, and have a good idea on how to defend yourself when certain things come out, right? If I block a jab, how far is that jab? Is it up close or is it far away? Or not far away, but is it spaced out? Am I in trouble of getting thrown? These things are very important so that you make sure that you're not panicking when it's happening. Okay. Alright. Now, all this applies the same way with a jump, except jumping, when someone jumps at you, and I'm going to be the one to do it to them now, okay? So I'm going to do standing jump, or standing guard off, okay? Now, let's just pretend I'm the opponent, right? And I'm being, I'm being aggressive. Ryu's blocking. He's the one trying to be patient, okay? Oh, I don't need him to do any recovery stuff. No. Okay. Okay. This is a proper way of how to block and how to defend against the jump. Let's just say, hey, I'm late to anti-airing. I didn't anti-air, but I am blocking it. What are your options? What are the options? One option you want to know is, am I in range to throw? Yes. But there is a thing called block stun, and that means that there is a timing to my throw. I can't just throw you. I can't. See how I whiffed that throw? Now that one I didn't because I jumped in really high, so the block stun kind of goes away really fast. But if I jump in pretty deep, I'll whiff that throw. I have to wait until that red goes away. You see how Ryu turns red? I can't throw him yet, but once he runs out of that red, that's the block stun, that's how negative he is, then I can go for a throw, then I can grab him. Okay? And so, when you think about it the other way, is when that red's about to end, that's when he wants to go for the throw tag. And so, the thing that you want to know is that it can happen all the time. I can go for a throw here, I can go for a throw here, I can go for a throw here, and then walk up throw, right? The threat of throws is huge, and it's one of the things that I encourage a lot of students of mine to start doing it or putting in their gameplay, is because throwing, when someone is just blocking, and this kind of goes back to that question I started off this stream with, is how do you break people that are just defending all the time? Throw is a good way. Throw is something that counters blocking, and it starts putting that threat into the minds of players. Now they start thinking like, man, I can't just block right now, I have to throw. And once they start doing that, it opens up their defense. Now they can't just rely on something that's just blocking. Now they gotta attempt something that's away from their defense, right? Now they gotta do something that doesn't just prohibit them from just taking and defending against everything. Now they have to open up. And once that happens, right, I'm gonna try to do this. Okay? I'm gonna try to do this. Record. I'm gonna try to spam this. I don't know if I did this before, but I want to get a reversal. Okay, I got reversal. Okay, so let's put it to use. All right. So if I do this, you'll tech it. But if I go for an attack, I'll be able to hit. But you gotta be able to space out this attack. You can't just do it right away because of block stun. I can't do that, right? I can't just It won't work. I can't go for that either. Right? So, one thing that's really useful in this is learning how to shimmy. Now, I'll say the shimmy for the end, but we're gonna keep staying on this lesson on understanding how to block and defend and throwing and all that stuff. Okay. So, whenever you have someone that's teching a lot, right, and you're going for these throws, okay, it's important to understand that this is a first response kind of thing. So when you jump, you can do a block string, but then what? Like, how do you get the throw? If you're getting blocked out and you're getting teched, what is the answer? There's a couple answers. Okay, one, you want to attack a little later. Don't attack right away, but attack a little later. So that's one way, right when you think they can throw. And this is how you have to understand how frame data work. You have to understand how long hit stun work and block stun work. Okay? You can't throw in the middle of block stun or hit stun, but you can try to time yourself to predict once that stun ends, they're gonna want to throw. I can try to hit them right before that. Okay? So I can. That was too early. Right? If I'm too late, I'm gonna get thrown. Okay? And if I try to attack, if I'm too early on that throw, I'm gonna get thrown. See that? See how I'm whiffing that throw and he's throwing me? That's because he's still in block stun. So you gotta make sure to know, hey, how to deal with this. Okay. Now let's talk about shimmy. Shimmy is the art of baiting the throw and hitting them. Okay? Usually, it goes something like, I'll knock them down, and they'll wake up and throw. Let's put that also on. Let's also do that. I don't know if this will work. I'm gonna try, but I don't know if it'll work. Okay, it did work. Alright, great. So let's set the wake up and try it. So if I throw them, they're gonna wake up and throw, right? If I try to just go for throws all the time, they're gonna tech it, right? If I try to go for, let's say, into that, I don't know if that'll work. Into that, they're gonna tech it as well, right? I don't think they'll wake up and they're not gonna be able to wake up at meaties. So like, we won't talk about meaties because meaties doesn't really work here. But there are ways to bait out throws. Okay, one of them is a jumping meaty. Now this one doesn't really work very well if they know how to block. You do have to jump really early to get this, so I would have to just jump here and get the hit. Right? But this is one way of doing it. Okay, and you can just deliver a punish and get some combos. You do good. Get a good hit, good attack on your opponent. Okay, that's one way of shimmy. That's kind of like the easiest way. Probably you see a lot of Kens doing this. Anybody that has like a downward attack when they jump is a really good one. I'm trying to think of others. I just know Ken does it really well. Bison does this very well as well. I'll think about it, but I know there's more. But like Barog could do it as well. So they have very good jump-ins that are like downward, so they can bait this really good. Chun's isn't very good, so we don't really like doing this. I mean, if you want to be a really sick Chun, you can do something like. I'm gonna try a couple times, but I'm trying to do that. So you kind of like that. but I'm not that good. But whatever. Right? We'll move on. But basically, I mean, the specialty that I do is, and then go into that. But we'll talk about that later on. Lord Bison. That's right, Lord Bison. Okay. Probably the most typical shimmy, or like the ones you'll see a lot of players do, is typically something like plus on blocks. We'll do something like that, right? Where let's just pretend this is a meaty. They'll meaty and then go for an attack. Now, the way this works is understanding the psychology on it. Okay? If I'm gonna do a throw, right? If I'm gonna do a throw, and I'm going to choose to do, or if I know my opponent's gonna do a throw, I'm sorry, and they've been teching a lot, right? They've been teching, and not going for anything else. They've been anticipating my blocks. They block everything, but they've been teching a lot more. One thing that I'm gonna be doing is being able to handle all that, right? Is be able to handle all that and understand, okay, their response is going to be throw. I need to be outside the range, and I have those 5 frames to hit them. Those are my only way to get in. Those are my only ways to beat out the throw. So I got to be outside the range. Right? Let's talk about that. So if I hit him, I'm gonna be outside the range. So I hit him, right? If I'm too close, I'm gonna get thrown. Right? Even though I'm plus on block, like if I don't do anything, if I just try to like move away or something, I'm just gonna get thrown. You could move away, and that's the art of the shimmy, is to back away knowing that they're gonna throw, right? And try to hit them. Okay, that's pretty much how it should Chun-Li, or not Chun-Li, but this is just pretty much how a shimmy would work out. Is this a Chun-Li tutorial? No, this is a fundamental tutorial. I'm just picking Chun. I can go any character and show this. If anybody has a character they want me to show this off to, go ahead and ask in the chat and I'll do it. It doesn't have to be Chun. It's just I'm more knowledgeable with Chun, so I can show off things really well with the character. But it could be anybody else, right? So yeah. If I were to do something that's negative, right? If I did something like this, it's really hard to like go for a shimmy because I don't have the time to move or get away, right? If I do like a sweep, well, the thing about sweep is that you're too far. But like, I don't know, like crouching middle punch. I mean, it's negative enough. You're gonna get punished by that. If you're gonna get punished, like this negative, you have to tech here. There's no way out of it. There's no, well, you can jump, but you're gonna get hit. You can backdash, but don't really get anything, and that's something that's very hard because if they go for a jab, you're gonna get hit. The best thing you can do is just block, and then go for it like a late tech. And you can do it, and like I said, you can delay that tech, so you can practice, blocking and having the ability to see the tech at the same time. You have to prefer Chun, nice. Shimmy with Lord Bison. I'll shimmy with Lord Bison before the night's over. I'll definitely shimmy with Lord Bison. I know you've been asking help with Bison, so I'll definitely do it with Bison. And this works too for wake up. If I throw, I can stand here, back down, and then punish. Right? Now you gotta be good at it to do it, right? You gotta be on time. That was a little late, so I would have to, and then there's the punish, right? You've seen a lot of people do a lot of like that, but see, you're too late, and you're gonna get punished. Good. But this helps out a lot because sometimes it could make or break a game, I can do something like this and then go for a combo. Well, let me try that again. So I can just go for that. Let me try again. Let me try one more. You would have to do it like, you would have to backdash early. And then go for super and you can get a kill and things like that, right? So shimmies are really important. Shimmies probably the thing that separates the ability to just play defensively and have a balance. If you want to be successful, you gotta have a balance. You cannot just be one way or the other. You can go far, you can win with pure offense or pure defense, but you won't be successful unless you incorporate both. You gotta have the ability to do both. Okay. Now the cool thing about this concept right here, the shimmy, is that throw does count as a counter hit. You could time the counter hit. So you could definitely like, I don't know how I got thrown there. Holy shit. If you time it right, it's kind of like this. See that? You can get a crush counter. So if I time it right, I can get a crush counter into a combo. Because I'm counter hitting their throw. Right? With the jump out, yeah, my mic's kind of like far, but I'll try to turn it. But anyways, utilizing these things, utilizing these steps really helps you out. In case you're fighting someone that's delay teching a lot. Okay. Delay teching is really hard to reciprocate in a training mode because the computer, like when they wake up, they tend to do it pretty late. I mean, let me try doing that, but it's not really feasible because let me just try. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna try to do. Let me try again. Nah, see, like, that's a reversal. I don't want a reversal. The reversal means the first frame. Nope. It's not gonna work. But let me try this. A reversal EXDP. Now, you know how we were talking about how people, there's defensive players, but then there's players now that tend to just mash on your string. So if I were to go for a string, right, like, oh wait, let me take off. Oh, it's supposed to be on block. I'm dumb. Hold on. No, not that. We'll talk about reversal later, but oh no. Let me try these. Alright, there we go. EX reversal. Alright, EX DP. Alright. So we got it. Alright. So if we were to do something like people mashing on your DP. If someone's mashing on your attempts, if I do a true block string. Whoa. If I were to do a mashing. Okay, I think because they're mashing it, but whatever. Because, yeah, to be honest, like, double DP would go into super. So I kind of know why the computer's doing that. That's funny. That's funny to know, but whatever. Even if you did something like on block, like, if you think you're next, see, like, that's a good tighter string. But that should work. What? Why are they doing? There we go. There you go. Huh, that's so weird. They do EX. Okay. Uh, so yeah, so like anytime you're negative, you don't want to continue because of that. Even if you're positive, you don't want to do it because of that. So like sometimes you gotta like allow yourself to just say, well, let's see if he's mashing, right? And if he's mashing, whoops, you have to make sure you punish him. This kind of lesson is kind of difficult because you're not expecting people to just mash DP, but there will be people that do it, right? Kens will do it, Akumas will do it, Giles will do it. So, I mean, as weird as that sounds, Giles is not really a mash. It's just more of they know the timing to do. It's like Chun-Li. Like I know when I want to do it, and I do it in between a string, and I have a high probability of hitting it because people want to continue their moves, right? So you gotta definitely have a feel of the match to get a good understanding of what you're fighting. Do you need a training to dummy? I'll hop on. No, I mean I'm good. I'm good. But thank you though. I appreciate it. So yeah, having that DP is just super strong. Good. Kens will do it. Yes, Kens will do it. So one thing that helps this situation out is looking at your opponent's meter. Do they have a meter? If this was a normal DP, alright, let's go ahead and let's just do a normal DP, right? Let's do medium DP. Oh, missed it. Okay, medium DP. So if the frame's there, it won't work. But see how that doesn't work? They get hit because normal DPs will not beat your strings unless you're late, unless you're doing it bad, unless you're doing a bad job, unless it's not accurate. You will get hit. If I were to do this wrong, I'll get hit. But if I tighten it, I won't get hit. See the difference? And so, if they don't have the meter, don't be scared. Do your offense. They will get hit. If they have the meter, that's where you want to like, alright, that's when the game becomes like what do I feel like this person's going to do? Is he going to wake up EX? Is he going to do EX on block? Is he going to match out the DP? Have a feel. Right. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. This part is like, it's just a feeling. It's just one of those things where you might want to do. Like you see those matches, those replays where you see people throw all the time. Like you just see throw and then throw and throw. It's like, why aren't they DPing? Because it's such a big risk to DP. But that's at high level. Low level, the thought process isn't really there, so you can go for it. You know, and you have to be aware that people will go for that EX uppercut. But being patient enough to not just continue your string, to just block it out, that's what you want to do. Okay? And so if you're not on point, you'll get hit. Okay? Obviously, if they see it, you want to be able to recognize it. That's something I think a lot of my students have trouble with, is not being able to pull this crush counter very well. You know, when you see a block DP, even if it's a whiff DP, right? Even if it's something like that, you know, that's really hard for players to do. To recognize, oh shit, there's a DP. Let me punish that shit. It's really hard for them to do it. But it is very important. Okay. Alright, before I begin some ranked fights, I'm going to do this all with Bison, because, you know, Lord Bison must make a choice. But give me 1 second. I'm going to check something with work. Oh. See if work's fine. Yeah, work is fine. No problems. Alright. So let's go back into this. Alright. I just have to check. Again, I could do this with pretty much any character. So it's not just a Chun-Li thing. All the things that I've taught you guys during this seminar, you could do with pretty much anybody. That's why I try to use very generic terms like plus on block, frame data, delay tech, things like that. It's not Chun only. None of it's Chun only. Some things do favor Chun, like the spacing and the poking, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it with your character. You just gotta find out. Okay. We're just gonna do that. It's whatever. Okay. So we're just gonna practice the shimmy for one of the viewers. I'm getting text from Shalu. Yeah, right. Some Shalu dolls, maybe. Damn. But let's go ahead and talk about this for a second. Okay. So how do we do a shimmy with Bison? Okay, Bison's similar, the same thing. Now let's go ahead and set the guard to throw. So we're gonna do. Yeah, I didn't want to mash it, but whatever. The best way to do is just mash it. Nope, missed it. Okay, got it. Alright. So, and then we're gonna set up the wake up just to do it too. Record. I think I did it too late. Let me try one. I'm not getting it. You always want to make sure it's reversal. There you go. When you have reversal, perfect. If you don't have reversal, it could skew your practice. So I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn this on. Okay. So, how to do a shimmy with Bison. Okay, one way to do it is to set it with jab. Remember, you gotta be plus on block. If I'm negative, I'm gonna get pretty much thrown all the time. Except Bison has some, let's try what? Let's try this. Nope, still too different. Something like this. Or, how about this? I'm gonna get thrown, right? If I do scissors, even if I do like light scissors. If you press a button, whatever, I guess. Medium scissors. You can still tech it. It's just hard. You can still tech it, or whatever. No one's about to pay this like on me. I've been waiting for that. Oh, that's true. You gotta wait 10 years a month to play me in a set. It's hard to like really on block do it. But let's just do like off a throw. One way to do it is to kind of, you could do fierce punch. So you can stand right in front of them, backdash, and then fierce punch. That's one really good shimmy. It's a big bet, but it's a good one. This is like kind of another one you can set up. This is one of my favorite ones. This is one I wish Bison would do more is jab it to middle punch. So that sets it up. See, I can go for the throw, right? I can do, and that's a throw. But a way to beat that, and you gotta be on time, is to do the frame trap right there. See that? So frame traps is really good. And then once you're got them in the corner, you can just kind of easily just be outside the throw range. So you can dash up, walk back. And then standing heavy kick really pushes you forward. So you can actually beat that. Also the jump. So I could just do... Well, I messed up the combo. But you can, you can see what I mean. You can just do like... And then get the knockdown. Bison just has a certain range. Like I said, like poking really helps. Doing frame traps really helps. You can do like that. Still also beats it. So if they're waiting, like most of the time you're not gonna get thrown. Like they're not gonna throw. unless you do jab. And look how dumb that is. Like, you can basically whiff punish throw. See that? Like, Bison's heavy kick goes so far. I mean, Fierce Punch does too, so you can do like, you just combos like that. So Bison's really, just really strong. You did. I need to see something. Hold on. Like, look at that. Yeah. So if I just wait, I can just punish that. That's so broken. I'm not gonna lie, that's broken. Like, you could just do. That's not a true blockchain, really? Let me try like it. Nope. So. Okay, so you can do that. So you can do. You can do. Like that. That's pretty dumb. So you can just do a light string. And then like so. This is hard. There you go. And just kind of keep yourself away. Show you I'm back. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to just understand how it works for the frame. Like, if you put plus on frames like this, you could just go for these things. So they match throw, you can definitely go for some strings. But yeah, that's pretty much Bison's shimmy game. He has other ones, but they're kind of like using. You can use V skill 2 with it. It's not really like whatever. You could just kind of like, just do something like that. It's just something that you have to really be careful in. Thank you, Wheels. Yeah, you don't have done bad. It's fine. You don't have done bad. He's probably feeling himself. That's okay. All right, let's go into some ranked. But yeah, to kind of like end it, this seminar about patience. Knowledge is very key to it all. You really have to make an adjustment on how to defend yourself and defend against pressures when you're dealing with plus on block. Using reversals is good here and there to open people up. But learning that tech throw, the timing on using those throws so that you don't get opened up by throw is very important. Key. Obviously, the jumping and punishing jump-ins is very important. We're gonna actually play ranked with Bison. We're gonna play some Bison, and maybe before I go, I'll play some Chun.